So looking at organizations, because that's the context in which we are looking at learning. And the fact is that expertise can be anywhere. These images show a surgeon in the United States performing an operation in Europe. And that is through very rich connectivity, enable him to see what's happening, enable him to guide the devices that are making the incisions and to performing the operation inside the person. So if this is possible, then absolutely anything where expertise is in one location can be applied elsewhere is possible. So if we look at the future of work, one of the questions is what can be automated. Perhaps the single other biggest driver is what can be performed in other locations. In the same way we are seeing trucks in the Pilbara being driven by drivers in Perth. And this is the possibility to distribute expertise, to have that wherever it is located around the world, thus shaping the nature of organizations. What happened inside organizations, what happened outside organizations. And if we think about the organization as a network, and this image, as many of you will have seen similar social network analyses, this is of the top 100 executives in one of Australia's largest organizations, which I did a while ago, and you can immediately see some of the connectivity and the lack of connectivity inside organizations. Increasingly, the issue is how do you enable the useful connections within the organization and also the networks that extend beyond them. So one example of that is My Encore, set up by, amongst others, Procter & Gamble and Boeing. And the idea is this is a social network for people who've retired from the organization. And clearly, if you've worked with people for years or decades, you want to be able to be connected to them. But you also might be available and say, well, I wouldn't mind working half a day or a day here and there to support my former employer. And as such, it provides not just a social network, but a way of tapping into existing expertise. It's not either you're an employee or you're not. It is we have people who are inside the organization, we have expertise outside the organization that we are tapping and drawing on. So those understanding that those social networks go outside and beyond organizations is a critical part of building those connections out of which value happens. Now, organizations are not collections of ants working. However, we can learn or be instructed by the ways that ants collectively can achieve far more than they can individually. And so this is the nature of organizations, is this emergence, being able to foster the conditions within which individuals working together can create something which is collectively more than the sum of its parts. So this is largely around connectivity. So it's interesting to think about if we are looking to draw on how people are connected in various ways. It's interesting to draw on the work of Tatiana Cassiaro at Harvard Business School. What she did was she studied organizations. She looked at basically how competent different people were in the organization and how likable they were. And out of this matrix, she formed 4 different types of staff members. The first, who are the highly competent, highly likable people, are the lovable stars. And you'd like everybody of that to be inside your organizations. Unfortunately, these are in fairly short supply. Then you've got the people who are less competent and less likable, and these are the incompetent jerks. And these are the people you would hope are going to be performance managed out of the organization before long, or educated or inspired in whatever way. Now, where it gets interesting is the other 2 categories. If we look first of all at those who are highly likable and not so competent, these are the people, the lovable fools, the people who great to hang out with and always good for a laugh, but maybe not the sharpest pencil in the pencil case. And the other category, which you've probably come across during your career, are the competent jerks, who are very competent but not very likable. So Tatiana went to the people in those side organizations saying, all right, unfortunately the lovable stars aren't available. You have a choice. Who do you go to? You go to the competent jerks or the lovable fools if you have a question. And people say, well, even though I don't like them so much, I'd go to the competent jerk. That's what they say. it's not what they do. They go to the lovable fool because they have more nicer experience, it's better to hang out with. And by the way, because they are well connected, they are in fact may not have the answer, but they know who to go to inside the organization. So when you've seen, for example, organizations cut out a tier of people, very often what they cut out are these lovable fools who are in fact the glue that hold the organization together. So there's just some insights from this very simple framework in thinking about what you do with different, to be able to develop different ones of these categories of people, but also in understanding the fact of connectivity as a fundamental enabler of expertise and the flow of expertise and learning inside an organization. Now looking at action very briefly.